Okay, everybody, this is JD Legree again, which is with part 2 of why I think the state of gaming is in the shitter. So to recap, I just spoke on one, microtransactions, and two, how developers have used the consoles being connected to the internet as a method for being lazy and half-assing shit. Okay. Now let's move on. And reason number 3 why I think it's in the shitter. It's kind of a summation of 1 and 2, but it's overall business practices. Okay. I think that's the biggest reason why. There are other reasons I will discuss, but business practices is why gaming is in the shitter. So here's an example. It's kind of rehashing number 1, but NBA Live 14, or I should say NBA Live itself, is an example of the type of business practices I'm talking about. Coming up to NBA Live 10, NBA Live had been struggling for a bit. People were saying it's too unrealistic, so on and so on. NBA Live 10 comes out, and almost across the board, people were saying it still needs work, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a good game. They need to do something about the can animations, but if they build on this, it can be what it once was. So instead of building on that, they got scared by 2K11, tried to make a 2K11 clone with NBA Elite 11, fell on their face with the Jesus Bynum glitch and whatnot, had to cancel it, right? Now here's the part of business practices I'm talking about right here. When they said that they weren't going to do a Live 12, but they were going to do a 13, and keep in mind, they said that they weren't going to do a Live 12 in early 2011. So that means they would have had all of 2011 and up until October 2012 for the Live 13. Okay. Instead of taking all that time for development, which for a sport game, you can get a lot of shit done with 18 months worth of development. That's more development than most sport games get now. Especially a type of sport game where there's human-to-human interaction, meaning bodies bumping up against each other, running, jumping, falling, all of that. Instead of taking all that time to develop the game, they didn't start working on Live 13 until the All-Star break. And of course, guess what ended up happening? They had to cancel Live 13. Then they come out and release Live 14. And this right here is an example of what I'm fucking talking about when it comes to business practices. NBA Live 14, no, I didn't get it. But, I was hoping for it to be good because maybe if you've seen my other videos, I'm not a stan of 2K at all. Gaming is better when you have competition, especially sports gaming. They released that game as a next-gen launch title, strictly next-gen. And it fucking looked like something that came out on the PS2 debut. Played like it, too. For full retail value at that. It's so bad that it fucking came without a practice mode. Think about that. The fucking game came without a practice mode. Live 10 came without a practice mode. In Live 10, when you started up the game and you're in that gymnasium, that was your practice mode right there. You had to take control of the players that was on the gym and play with them as your practice. The only way in Live 14 you could have practiced was to like select a specific game mode and turn off the shot clock, turn off the game clock, and all the files and rules and everything, and just play. So again, don't even take the time to you don't even take the time necessary to build a game that at least looks like it should be on next gen, it plays right, graphics and everything. So like I said, releasing half-ass games at full retail value, okay, taking shit out of the game, selling it as DLC, like Assassin's Creed 2 did. Well, planning DLC already, or like shortening the game length and selling you DLC to extend it, tacking on multiplayer when the fucking single player don't work, or if it does work, the fucking connection that you need for the multiplayer is shitty, i.e. Grand Theft Auto 5 online. You know, I didn't get the game because again, I've been broke for like forever, but game came out, right? GTA 5 came out, right? And the online multiplayer part was part of the game, but they had to shut it down. They had to lock it for a while to get it workable. Now think about that. You release the game, and half of the game is unplayable because your servers aren't good enough to handle the traffic, despite the fact that in a week you profited over $700 million, but your servers aren't good enough. Same thing for 2K servers. Like, you know, there's so many examples. 2K is like the ultimate example of what's wrong with gaming. You got server issues that date back to the PS2 era, right? You got bugs like the score clock, the scoreboard on the screen disappearing, the audio going away, the replays interfering with progressing in the game, not being able to progress past the All-Star break, not being able to progress into the playoffs, not being able to finish a particular game, not even being able to start up the game, save files being corrupted, all of that is a business practice because they know, they hear the complaints. I even like calling them complaints because what they're complaining about is legit. So they hear what people are speaking out on, but because a lot of you fuckers out there will buy the game no matter what, they don't give a fuck. They know that they can basically take a turd, put it in CD format. I mean, like a literal turd, compress it into the shape of a CD, sell you that shit, and you'll still buy it. And you think that because you complain on the forums and make videos like this, that it has an impact. Now see me, if I complain about something, I don't buy it. Like for example, Madden 10 was enough for me. I traded that shit in. I didn't buy 11. I didn't buy 12. I saw Madden 13. It looked good, so I went and got it. It was okay, but it still pales in comparison to Madden 05 and 06. So even if I had the money to get Madden 25, I wouldn't have got it because I saw how it looked on the current. I still say current gen because I haven't gotten the PS4 yet. So the current gen looked the same, and then when they was talking all that mess about how better it would be on the next gen, talked about, you know, how living environments, living sidelines, living fans in the crowd, all that other shit. So long story short, business practices, number 3. Number 4, as to why gaming's in the shitter. This one is about more. I think there's still an archaic approach to game making now. So here's an example. Much of what I've said about games being broken on release and whatnot, we all know that making games is hard, right? And with the available technology out there, it makes it that much harder because there's more to do. Okay. Because there's more to do, that means that the old school way of making games has to change. So let's take a sport game, for example. Let's take Madden, for example. The old school way to make Madden is you get people to wear the stuff so you can put your movements into the game, and then they animate everything else. Because that's what essentially a video game is. Coded animations interacting with each other. Well, that leads to a whole. We don't need to go into the bullshit that Madden does because of that. Seeing guys turn around in midair without losing any momentum, seeing stuff go through stuff. Whereas, if you were to do it this way, that I would suggest, and this is free, I don't need any royalties or anything. Here's a suggestion. Why don't you put the fucking game making material on the players? So like here's an example. When they do the Pro Bowl, I don't know why they do the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl, but when they do the Pro Bowl, put this stuff on them. Put it in their helmets, their jerseys, or whatever. When they're playing the game, you're gonna get more realism with the movements. Now, granted, they're not playing that hard, so you're not gonna get a true representation. But it's still better than having some generic guys put the stuff on and doing football moves, and then you take those football moves and you try to animate everything else. That leads to linemen going like, letting their guy just go right around there and they just dancing in a circle. That's what leads to that. So that's an example of what they need to do. So for basketball, whenever the finals ends, you got the summer league and you got preseason, right? You put the stuff on them. Either you interwove it with their jerseys, their sleeves, or whatever, so you can get the real movements that they make in playing a real game. And then you can take that, right? You know, you'll still have to animate and code stuff, but you're going to get more realism because you're going to get how teams move and players move while setting picks and plays and shit like that. You're not going to see the ball go through people's hands and shit because it's going to be more physics based. So that's just making the game. Another thing that needs to happen is they need to change how they test the game. Because to be honest, whatever they're doing, it ain't working. Because too many fucking games now come out broken pieces of shit day one. So perhaps what they need to do is they need to hire people who aren't game testers, right? They need to hire regular folk like you and I. Have a staple of them, right? Whenever they think they're done with the game, say here's your copy of this game. I want you to play up to this part, or play the whole entire game. Everything you see that is even a little bit wonky, mention it. Like Max Payne, the last one that came out. There's a whole section of cutscene dialogue that doesn't match. Like the words, like if you have the captions on, the words will come out. I mean, on the screen it will play out. But then, like 30 seconds later, then the audio comes. Now, how the fuck did that make it past the cutting board? So that's what needs to happen. They need to have somebody, because the way their game test is doing it now ain't working. So I'm saying don't get rid of their jobs. I'm saying that whenever you think you're done making the game, you have a small subset of the population sign into non-disclosure agreements or whatever. You have them play the game. You have them get online and play multiplayer against each other. And they write down every single thing that they experience. And then you translate that into fake and making the game better. Because I'm beyond tired of hearing about shit not working. And so, this video is getting kind of long. But I'll mention one last thing. And that'll be it. I want to talk about how the overall greed in the gaming industry now. But you know, that's a bit of a long topic, so I'll just cut it in here. This is part 2 of the state of gaming, with part 3 coming up.